Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Friday, August 25th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. The markets today. We just had a J-hole meeting, Jackson Hole meeting with the Fed. And the Fed is taking a hawkish stance. They are quite literally trying to induce a recession. What they're going to induce is a monster. Something that they don't expect. It's going to be uncontrolled. It's going to be far faster than they expect when it hits. It's going to be a deleveraging event within the system. Most likely within the upper part of the financial system. See, the Fed's okay, with the markets moving a little bit down. In fact, they think they're accomplishing their goals. If they see the market start to move down now, they're going to say, hey, you know what? Mission accomplished. We've induced our recession. If they see bad numbers coming in and the market moving down, they're going to continue because they're going to think they're making progress. They're not. They're heading towards something much more sinister, something that resembles 2008, but with more power, more energy. Why I can tell you guys so with such certainty that this is going to happen is going back to 1913 and the Fed, when they started this Ponzi scheme. The whole thing relies upon exponential growth of the entire world economy, so that the debt always keeps growing as well. So they're always taking out new debt to pay off the old, because there's accruing interest on all of the debt. This is the way the system was set up originally with the Fed back in the early days, and it's continued that way all the way through. We keep growing, and we see this growth in the money supply in the world monetary system, reflective upon the purchasing power of the dollar, and it's steady and it's continuous, but it's also on an exponential. And so what do we see? We see it slowly eroded over the years since 1914 until now. It's eroded 98% or somewhere in that vicinity of our dollar's purchasing power. Any reason to think that this isn't going to continue? Well, what happened in 2008 was a sudden deflationary event, a deflationary shock that they were able to fix. That was the first actual time when they hit the wall. The world hit the wall. Because this world relies, this whole system, the way they got it structured, relies upon exponential growth. That's like industries growing. They're opening up new factories in some country. Maybe in Africa or whatever. Opening up new mines, cutting down rainforests, and then they're extending their growth to this country, that country. And the world was a big place back in 1914, and they were still doing this. They were able to grow, but it's a finite planet. So what happened in 2008 was the watershed event. It was the event where the world reached its saturation point. Industry had grown out as far as it would grow. The banking system had grown out as large as it would grow. Everything hit a certain point where that exponential growth worked up until 2008. And then all of a sudden they had the first contraction of the entire system. It scared the living heck out of them all. But what did they do? They continued to expand. How? By expanding the monetary base. After 2008, when they fixed the crisis, they continued to expand the monetary system, whereas the real system out there, the real world, wasn't expanding any longer. And so they also used a tool. China helped in this a lot because they continued to help expand the whole entire world system by creating cities the size of Chicago that were just ghost towns. But that required a lot of infrastructure investment. Tremendous, not just city, but cities in China. They call them ghost cities. China poured it on. And that was almost like a simulated growth as well within the system just after 2008 during those years. And it helped. That's a trick China can't do again, I'm afraid. So that's one thing about this time that's different in 2008. What we're heading toward is an absolute unbelievably large contraction within probably the next 120 days. And this is what the Fed's inducing. And how are they going to stop it? Once it's unleashed, once we hit that moment when everything is falling and in free fall, well, they're going to have to stop it because it won't know a bottom. Just like in 2008, if they had not have done anything, and they said, clearly they said within a matter of hours, if we hadn't have done something, the entire world's financial system would have melted down in 2008. Well, we're going to be facing the same monster again, except this time even with more energy. So what are they going to do? They're gonna have to unleash the money printer to try to fix this thing, and it's going to take trillions. So they're creating the problem. When the problem hits, there's going to be a reaction. And then they're going to offer the same thing, the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. This is the game they're playing right now. The Fed is not react. They do not react unless there's the problem. We don't see the problem yet. Once the problem manifests itself, then they'll react. This is going to be an awful lot of people are saying, okay, the BRICS out there, they're building this new BRICS infrastructure system or whatever, and all these countries are pouring in and they're joining the BRICS, and the BRICS are anti-dollar and everything. This is going to take the dollar down, they say, over the next 20 or 30 years. It could be the demise, and they're admitting that now. A lot of that over the next, it ain't going to take that long. This event that's going to occur, that's going to be like 2008, is going to move this up. It's going to move it along tremendously. It's going to bring it a lot sooner than anybody expects. The demise of the dollar. And in the same breath, I'm going to tell you that it's also going to be the turning point for gold and silver. The big turning point. So hang in there, guys, because it's not far away. We can see the banking system just shuddering now. Every time the markets are just shuddering. They're hanging on for dear life as they watch the Fed becoming more hawkish, and they know interest rates are gonna climb more. This is gonna crush everything. Anyway, let's get started and get in there and take a look at the markets today. Let's take a look at the silver price. 24.21 that's climbing today. It's 10 cents up. Okay, so silver's looking pretty good, pretty strong. Gold, I mean, it broke out above the moving averages. Gold's, look at the volatility in gold today. 1909, it's down $7.40, but just look at this. Boomba boomba boom. Okay, cryptocurrency prices today. Bitcoin is 25,957. It's going down. Ethereum, 1,648, and it's going down right now. XRP is at 51.6 cents, and XRP is going up. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones right now, and we see it 34,226. It's up 127 points. As long as the Dow Jones stays up above 30,000, and as long as there's only small movements in it, down 300, up 400, down 500, up. These are small movements in the Dow. What's going to trigger the Fed is when it starts dropping 1,000 or more per day. That's what they don't like. That's what upsets them. That's what gets them moving. And, multiple days of it dropping over 1,000 points. Okay. I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like a little bit here. I don't think I'm going to get it in a 2-year chart. No, 5-year. I can get it in a 5-year chart. Yeah, where was it? I just think I just passed it, didn't I? Right here. Was it right, yeah, right here. This is the start of the COVID. There's your big days down. And right down here at the bottom, that was their big CARES packages and all that kind of stuff. Well, look what it did. Pushed the rate back up again. Look for a repeat of this whole thing all over again. Like the beginning of COVID. And those people that bought in the bottom of the market right here, when the market was down at its lowest, and rode it all the way up. They did very good for themselves, didn't they? Of course, the peak, we're well past the peak. The peak was in here someplace, right here and here. At 36,338 and 36,227. Those were the peaks. And of course, the starting point was way down here. What was the market? I think it was under 30. It was, what was it? I can't remember what it was there. It was really low. It was like, it was a tremendous big push up there. Where's the number for that? Anyway, wash, rinse, repeat. Except this time it might be a bit more severe. The market might actually go a little bit lower. And it might go down so fast that they have to close the markets and stuff like that. There might be a little bit of a panic and whatever. Well, the Fed's inducing it right now. It's going to happen. Because they're going to keep going until it does happen. They ain't going to stop. They're creating the problem. Then there's going to be a reaction, and they're going to offer the solution. That's called manipulation. They're manipulating all of us. Crude oil, $79.48 today. She's up 43 cents. Bonds and rates today, what we're looking at is all except for the 30-year and the 20-year. Everything else is rising. 1.2 basis points up on the 10-year at 4.24. And the U.S. 30-year is 4.28, and it's down 1.7. You know what? That's close to a 10-year, 30-year inversion. It's getting awfully close to it right there. Okay, U.S. dollar index today is at 104.18, and it's a rising dollar again. Yeah, the dollar's going to stay strong as long as the Fed stays tight. As long as the Fed stays hawkish, dollar's going to run strong. But what's coming is going to be sudden. No, it's going to be a sudden change in direction. It's going to be a 180-degree turn. And it's also that's going to be the turning point for gold and silver. And actually, the way things are going, the turning point might actually come before that even for gold and silver. I mean, but I don't really see the big turning point coming until after the Fed changes course and changes direction. They're forced into changing direction because the problem, then reaction, then solution. So we got to wait for that reaction. Right now we're in the problem. They're creating the problem. They're doing it on purpose. We're in that problem phase. You got to wait for the reaction phase. That's when gold and silver is going to go up. And the solution is going to be absolutely to pour money on everything and get us out of the problems that they're going to create. Just got to wait for it. Got to be patient, guys. And I know I've said patience, 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 and this is taking a very, very long time to play itself out. So we've covered the markets today. On my channel every day for like the last 7 or 8 years, I've been keeping a record. If you want to see where the markets were on a particular day, on a particular week, say you picked 3 years ago, you want to see where the markets were, just go look at my show from 3 years ago. And you can get an accurate spot on where all the markets were on that particular day. It's a record. And I narrowly miss a day, hardly. Because I want to keep an accurate record of the stupidity that they're going to induce. For history, they can look back and say, hey, you know, Glenn kept the record of the stupidity of the Federal Reserve. And now that the Federal Reserve doesn't exist any longer, because I believe there's a time coming in the future when this isn't going to fly. This whole thing that they're doing where it's so ridiculous, people in the future are going to have a hard time believing that it actually happened this way, that they were actually able to create money from nothing on just their say-so and buy real things with it, and slowly use that to drain the entire world of all of its wealth and store it in the hands of the few, and induce such a tragedy that's never existed before in human history. People are going to look back in astonishment in the future and say, how were they able to pull that off in the first place? Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.